What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today it's Iron Banner week, but we're doing the Nightfall. I don't typically get to do the Nightfall whenever it's Iron Banner week, but I decided this time around I was just going to start off on the Nightfall. I was going to get my bounties for the Iron Banner and just let that tempered buff kick in, and I'll start playing the Iron Banner maybe tonight for a little bit and worry about catching up over the weekend. I figure I'll just be a little bit more efficient since those bonuses really add up in the Iron Banner. And let's get ourselves a Nightfall video going on. So as you can see right here, we've got the Undying Mind. Now, this strike used to be a PlayStation exclusive strike back in year one, and now it's here for absolutely everybody to play. And this week's Nightfall, well, we're gonna have a little bit to say about that. In fact, let's talk about the Nightfall also, why you would even do the Nightfall. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure. Back in year one, the Nightfall was pretty much one of the things to do in Destiny. It was the first thing you would do every single week, and you'd run around in the tower with your blue flames going around your head. You'd get an experience boost for the entire week, and it was one of your few chances of getting an exotic weapon each week. Now, pretty much all of that is thrown out the window. There's no experience boost anymore, and the reason why was because the developers felt like, you know what, we don't want to make there be something that has to be the number one thing you do each week and force people into that activity week in and week out. But that's gone, and the rewards are definitely changed. Now, let's get this right out in the open. The Nightfall rewards before used to also be really terrible. You used to finish up a Nightfall and end up getting just simply shards or ascendant energy from a Nightfall. So Nightfall rewards were always very hit or miss. So now we're complaining about getting 330 ghost shells. But the reason why it feels so much worse right now is because pretty much every other thing that you do in the game can get you up to that end level 335 light gear, except for Nightfall. Nightfall, you can only get 335 light gear from the strike specific loot that can drop. And that by far is the best thing that you can get from the Nightfall, is getting a higher chance of getting that strike-specific loot. But as far as the endgame rewards, well, they are still very lacking and very disappointing. I really do feel like Bungie really needs to go back to the drawing board on the Nightfall. They need to make this an activity that is worthwhile, significantly worthwhile to do each week for the players, because the Nightfall has a little bit of a legacy to it, and I feel like it's really failing in that legacy right about now. As far as this week's Nightfall, again, it is the Undying Mind, and whenever I saw the modifiers, I thought it was going to be a real pain in the butt to go through. But honestly, the entire level leading up to the boss, we ended up clearing that out pretty quickly. The final boss pretty much takes the most amount of time of everything, and I'd say a big part of the reason why that's the case is because of that rotating shield, meaning you can't constantly damage the boss. Now let's talk about the modifiers. So for starters, you have match game going on, which means that whenever an enemy has a shield, you'll want to hit it with a like element, otherwise you're going to deal out reduced damage. So what kind of shields are you seeing in here? For me, I saw pretty much all void. So I actually had a void sniper and my void exotic sword, the Dark Drinker. That's what I rocked out. The only enemy that I saw that really didn't have a void shield was one of those Taken Cabals with a arc shield, and that was only in the beginning stages of it. So I think you could probably get away with just carrying all void weapons. Now you can see that I have the Dark Drinker, and you can see that I was actually just utilizing it and where it's going to be the most effective, and why I made that as my primary choice to use my exotic slot. I like to do this part of the Nightfall from this side of the map. I feel like it's the most open, you have the most amount of room to run around. Whenever those enemies end up spawning in, those yellow enemies spawn in, your Dark Drinker can make significantly quick work of them and just tear through them. Also, one spin with your sword can kill all of those Minotaurs that are coming around, those red health Minotaurs, in just one swing. So the Dark Drinker works out really well, and if you happen to have a Night Stalker Hunter, throw down that tether bow, get all of those enemies tethered up with the black hole in there, and just go to town swinging the sword and creating orbs. It's really easy and probably the most efficient strategy that you can utilize. Again, what you want to do is be able to take down those big enemies really quickly, and the Dark Drinker works wonders for that. You can use your sniper rifle for the rest in dealing out damage on the boss. My sniper rifle, my LDR, happens to have triple tap, and that makes it pretty nice on this boss because on my characters where I wasn't taking the triple tap sniper, I found that I was running around looking for special ammo so much. Holy crap, was I feeling the special ammo nerf in this strike. As far as what else is going on, I believe we have grounded, so just make sure that you're not jumping up in the air or you're going to take significant damage. And then we've got to move on to what is one of the worst perks that Bungie ever thought of and ever created for the Nightfall, and that is Trickle, which makes all of your abilities charge up extremely slow. So pretty much you're playing Destiny, which is a game that pretty much gives you superpowers, except for you're not allowed to play or have fun with those superpowers thanks to Trickle. Again, a really bad idea for a modifier. I understand the desire to make things more difficult, but it does take the fun out of the game. But what's really weird is aside from Trickle, you also have Catapult, which is supposed to increase the recharge rate of your grenade, and it works wonders. Except for when it's combined with Trickle. You are not even going to notice that you have Catapult active because Trickle slows you down so much. I was really curious to see if Catapult might be able to override this, but it doesn't. It's still extremely slow, so don't expect to use your grenades very much at all, even though you see Catapult as a modifier. A real shame and a real head scratcher for how in the world they came up with this modifier set for this Nightfall. But if you get lucky, you might also get some strike-specific loot, maybe an Imago Loop, and there's also a Warlock Gauntlet piece that I don't think many people have in the game at all. I definitely don't, and I was really hoping to get it, so we'll see if I do pick it up. As far as my rewards from my Warlock Nightfall, I ended up getting myself a sidearm. Devil got himself a 1,000-yard stare with not too terrible perks. My sidearm actually has some really nice perks with Rangefinder and Feeding Frenzy. That's pretty solid on a sidearm. And Yagami got strange coins. Moving on to my Titan, we end up taking down the Undying Mind, and as I come around the corner to take a look at my loot, I can see that I do have a purple item, so what did I end up grabbing here? Please don't be trolling me. Then Yagami got an Imago Loop, and I got an Imago Loop, and actually Devil ended up getting an Imago Loop as well, so on this Nightfall it was 3 Imago Loop drops. And this actually ends up being the best Imago Loop that I've ever picked up. Any of my Imago Loops before have all been pretty terrible. This one isn't too bad. Reinforced Barrel is nice. I've got Hidden Hand and Underdog. It's not a god roll or anything like that, but it's just the best Imago Loop that I've picked up yet in Destiny. Moving on to my Titan rewards, we end up getting ourselves some strange coins. And of course, a 330 Ghost Shell for Devil, and Yagami gets himself a Last Extremity Scout Rifle. And finally on the Hunter, for our last Nightfall rewards of the week, am I going to get a ghost? No, I avoid the ghost. Yagami doesn't, he gets himself a ghost. Devil gets a deal breaker, and I get myself some 3 of coins. So maybe I'll get an exotic or 2 out of those 3 of coins. You know I do love the 3 of coins. Anyway, guys and gals, that was my Nightfall for this week. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Nightfall, and I'll see you around in Destiny. My mind's undying.